Welcome to the Bod Podcast with Corey. I'm your host, Corey. Thank you guys for joining me. Today, I have a wonderful special host who, due to COVID, it has taken me forever to get on here, and I'm so happy to have him on here. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone before we get started, my man.
Hello, guys. Yeah, again, thanks for having me, Corey. I am DeAndre Warren. I live here in Texas. Been married for 15 years, coming up this July, 4 kiddos. Like I said, just happy that Corey reached out to me to give me this opportunity to speak on his platform, and I'm looking forward to some good conversation ahead.
So we're both in that 4-kid tired dad.
Yes.
Well, mine are from age 7 to age 16. Never sleep. We don't, people. Somebody says you need to get more sleep. I was like, you just want to smack people when they tell you that. Like it's just that easy. Like, oh yeah, I don't even know. Someone's like, you should get more sleep. I don't know what it's like to sleep past daylight, even during the summer. It's summer here. I was like, I don't know. My kid's still up. 5:30.
My 4-year-old in the room. She came in the room probably around 6:15, and so I went ahead and got up and got my run in.
Right. Do yours ever do that whole? You think like there's a party, you start to wake up and you're like, oh man, the kids are sleeping in, and you open your eyes, you got that kid right here just staring at you.
That's Evie for sure.
He's like, are you too tired to even be scared? You just like, I
don't know. My 13-year-old, she scared my wife a couple times. Like she used to do that. Be in the room, standing there when you open your eyes, you'd be like, yeah, what are you doing?
Our 6-year-old has a restricted, for in the state of Kentucky, it's like restricted license, and you got to go through hours of driving, and then she'll get her full license. And it's like, and I've posted pictures of as we're, I'm in the car and she's driving home from school and everything. And everybody's like, I was like, I can't believe you're so calm and relaxed. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you understand? Almost to the point where I'm driving one less kid around. Like I got kids that play sport. I'm like, nah, I'm to that point where I got one less. Please. Exactly. I'm done. This is a wrap. So one of the things Dre and I have become close upon, and there's a handful of us. 2020 was a year of civil unrest for this nation, and I dare I say the globe, to be very honest. And so trying to think of. I'm not even going to mix words here. Our handful of us became very unhappy, and that's a simple word. As far as the things we saw going on in how people of color have been treated so long, and systematic, however you want to phrase it, racism going on. And it was more than just, the over the top that I think most people associate with racism. These were the things of going into a store and having someone just profile you and follow you around. These were the things of that we're used to on a daily basis, on an hourly basis of being somewhere. And we spoke out about it very publicly because it was our right, and without explanation, without apology. And that was met with, I'm laughing because this is prior to us recording, that was met with a lot of backlash. Mm-hmm. Some of it was positive. A lot of it was, and help me out with this, Dre, a lot of it was met with us having to explain and people not understanding. So we had to teach a lot of people. And some of that I don't think was fair on our behalf, because I think, and I don't want to speak for you, so please correct me, but I think a lot of us felt like we were having to teach people to open their eyes, because it was there the whole time. And it was, and I think for some people were just, we found out people were very comfortable in being ignorant, in choosing to be ignorant. Let me be very specific. In choosing to be ignorant and in choosing to be hateful. There were people that were just like, I don't want you to be equal. Just flat out. I just don't want you to be equal. Seeing things like the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd. Let me be very clear about that. Seeing things like here in Louisville, the murder of Breonna Taylor. Both of us are runners. Both of us are solo runners. Seeing things like the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. That shook me. I couldn't run. I'm a pre-dawn solo runner. There's about 3 months I couldn't go. I didn't run. I couldn't. I opened the door. I could not go run. We talked about that. I couldn't. It messed me up. I could not go run. These were things that we had mutual internet friends that I think we were met with a lot of shut up and run replies from people. There were people that thought we were being too over the top.
Yeah.
You know, and you see, I'm trying to choose my, and I know you're shaking your head. I'm trying to choose my words. I'm trying to be a little bit nice here before we get into this, but there were people that thought we were being dramatic.
Yeah.
They thought we were doing too much. Trying to use the vernacular here. I'm old man. I'm 48, but that thought we were exaggerating the point.
Yeah.
How were you? How was it for you? And I know we would spend a lot of time chopping it up, almost comparing stories of people. And I know there were times that you would get replies from people on your social media, and I know I would do it. That I would just. I'm not someone to get in arguments online. Hell, I'm not really, because we got kids, and you know, time is not something I'm willing to waste. And I know you're the same way. And there's times I would just be like, I would tag on stuff, be like, Dre, did you see this? And and there's times you'd be like, Corey, did you see this? And I would just sort of go in and you go all in. But how is it to you to see some people just openly choose to be ignorant and hateful?
Like I said, 2020 was eye-opening, and it just wasn't. It's kind of like you said, racism has been here. You know, it's just kind of like when you clean your house and you think everything is clean, and then once you lit the blinds up and from that sunlight, you see all the dust particles that's in the air, and so. Racism, I say this all the time, America at some point is going to have to take the makeup off. And America has been refusing to do that for so long. And you can't just, using the makeup analogy, women get upset when they sleep in their makeup. It messes up their skin, you know. So America just can't keep sleeping with makeup on. And so once you get to the point to where we had the George Floyd murder, it just, like I said, it hit home so hard for me. Nothing more than a speeding ticket, never been in jail, never been arrested, but I still have this stigma. I fit the description or whatnot, you know. So mix that in when we can be the best law-abiding citizen in this country, and as you alluded to, people will feel like you would never and should never be equal to them. You should never deserve the same freedoms that they're getting here in America, you know. And so from the civil unrest to the protests that we did, the marching, the crying, like I literally cried, like just tears of just frustration when I was still running in daylight, of course. Just for like, I think it was like 16 days last summer when Floyd died, because people, like you said, people want to tell you how you should feel when they had never laced your shoes up, you know.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's so frustrating when you have to do that. Now I came up with clever analogies that got some good responses on Facebook. And one of them that I used was, if two people get robbed of $1,000, one person has $99,000 in their account, the other person has $1,005 in their account. The person that still has $99,000 in their account, they can afford to play the email game with the bank manager. You know, okay, yeah, I'll get back with you. We'll find out who did this. You know, I'm sorry this is happening. You know, of course, we're going to do the security check. But the person that now only has $5 in their account, it's going to be a little bit more urgent for them. You know, they don't have time to sit down and email the bank manager. Matter of fact, they're going to be up there at the bank that day because they only have $5. So you are not in, you can't be in a position to tell them how they should feel or how they should respond to the $1,000 they got taken from them. You both got robbed of $1,000, but you still have $99,000 left. So this calm down, you're overreacting. You don't get to tell that person that because again, they only have $5. Bills are due. So when you flip that into the aspect of racism, yes, when you feel like they already feel like they're superior, they on the high ground, you're overreacting, just listen to the cops, just do what they ask you to do. We shouldn't feel like we should have to verify that we are a nice person to a cop just because we're Black. That's not right. You know, so you don't get to tell us how we should feel about a situation that we are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. Like you said, some of the stuff we just let go because it's too time consuming and it would consume you. And that's the profiling when you go in the store, you know, where it's a gas station or dealers or whatever the case may be. The little minor stuff when you're in the neighborhood the way they don't think you belong, you know, someone's watching you and things like that. You know, when the cops get behind you and you know they're running your tags, if you don't have anything to hide, you know a cop is running your tags, you know he's going to go about his way. But for the people who record isn't quite as clean, you know, there's going to be some anxiety, and then that's how you get into these situations on the side of the road or whatnot. So once all of that happened, I just had, like I said, I told my wife, like I just had to clean my Facebook friends up, take a stand, speak out. Like I said, I suppose just been shutting up and running. You know, Dre, cute kid, cute family, nice family. Just run, post your runs. That's all you need to talk about. I had so many people in my box just messaging me about the George Floyd death was fake. They're going to show me the video on it. Now I'm this far left person. What has happened to me? I used to respect you. So, you know, it was the backlash there. But at the end of the day, we are still going forward. And we're going to get to the points where racism cannot be comfortable and accepted in this world. And that's how the people who on both sides, sometimes that's how they try to interpret, like this is the part that frustrated me the most. Why are we the ones getting redirected or telling them to calm down when we are responding to racism? Like, go tell your friend with the rebel flag and all of this stuff, tell them to calm down, change their heart, pray for them. You know, don't come trying to tell me how I should feel toward the racism that your friend is putting out, you know. And so that's just like a common little message now that that I've been getting a lot for is when it comes to, you know, when you're responding to racism, now all of a sudden, you know, I'm the racist.
And you're right. And I think you and I, and it was a couple of us, and I used analogies a lot because, and hear me out, I think responding to racism became a dance to an extent because we can't be angry. We're not allowed to be angry. We're not allowed to be angry towards hate being shown at us. And let that bounce around in everybody's head for a second.
Yeah.
We can be shot at, we can be hung and let it be labeled as suicide. Mm-hmm. We can be tasered for not getting out of car. We can be killed in our own house eating ice cream. Mm-hmm. We can have all this done, but what we can't do is respond to hate by being angry. Mm-hmm. Let that work around for a second. So we have to learn how to articulate things for a simple-minded person to understand, because that's what that is what it comes down to. So we analogize, which is not a word. I understand that. Don't come at me. I understand that. but so we come up. We get cute. We get cute. But I said that too. I said here's what, and this was the analogy I used. I said, as a man, if I went up to any woman and I explained sexism, y'all would come at me and rightfully so, whoop my behind. Mm-hmm. If I went up to any woman's social media and started explaining how you should feel about sexism, y'all would whoop my behind. But yet, daily, everybody was telling me how I should feel about racism.
Yeah.
But everyone that was doing it was, as I like to have said, melatoninally challenged. Not one person
Yeah.
was who was doing it
Yeah.
was of color. And
Yeah.
but I was supposed to accept that
Yeah.
because I'm not supposed to be upset about being hated.
Mhm.
And I compared it to, I live in a predominantly white area and outside of Louisville, Kentucky, and I was like, I could go to Walmart wearing my Black Lives Matter jersey, and I had a dude who if he was 90, if he was a day old, he was 90, who muttered a death threat to me. Now, granted, he could swing at me. First thing, it was going to take him 5 minutes to connect
Yeah.
if he could reach me. He muttered a death threat to me, and I heard what he said, and I just was like, all right, dude, if that's how you feel. Now, in the same store, less than 10 feet away from me, there's 3 dudes wearing Confederate flag hoodies. In the parking lot, there's 5 cars. 2 of them are obstructing justice because their Confederate flags are blocking the back window. So that's actual breaking the law.
Yeah.
But nobody says anything. And now this is after the time that it's considered illegal. So there's multiple laws actually being broken, but nobody says anything to them. But I'm the issue because I have a Black Lives Matter shirt.
Yeah.
And this came across my Facebook the other day, and I said this, I was like, so if I say Black Lives Matter, I'm a problem. If you say Blue Lives Matter, it's not a problem. And so the issue is not the color blue, the issue is the color black.
Exactly.
And so I'm with you. I'm like, so I don't understand where, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but you and I were talking about now everyone's trying to pass legislation which I'm confused on how this is not the same thing as a communist state, is that now we're going to dictate what's going to be taught in history. So now we're having an issue, and you can call it whatever you want to, but now we're going to, with critical race history, whatever, but now we're going to be dictating that we're just not going to teach certain parts of history.
Yeah.
Because it's making people uncomfortable. I'm confused on how that's correct, how that's right. So we just going to skip slavery.
Yeah.
We're going to decide the Asian history of how the railroads, how we got to the West for the most part. How the white man got to the West. We didn't choose that. Our ancestors didn't choose that. We'll just skip that part.
Yeah.
We'll just skip what happened when Columbus actually got here. We'll just say Thanksgiving was cool. Everybody had fun. We'll just say that those, George Washington's teeth were actually wood. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
And that if anyone tries to actually teach the truth, they will lose their teaching license. And then, did I read this correctly that in your state, we've now made it easier to get a gun than vote?
Yeah. Yeah. No ID, no you don't have to have any ID down there in Austin to go get a gun. It's open carry and no ID required. It's just mind-boggling for when you actually read that how they just Wild West basically. If you want to carry a gun. So, but that goes back to the two Americas that we're living in. And to touch on the critical race theory, I don't say it's unfortunate. It's just when you have people who control an opinion, they control the narrative. And when you have something that's so vile and so obvious, and just why would you not want it to be authentic? I told you before we got on here, America's favorite new product now is water. They want everything watered down. because they know the consequences or the results of it. These kids are going to start thinking for themselves. They're going
Correct.
to
Yes.
start asking mom and pop some serious questions. And some of these parents, they are uncomfortable. And I give it to some. Like I made a post the other day. Like I can see why some of y'all are uncomfortable talking about this stuff. It's not normal for people to, lynch people, just to rape women, to watch people burn in a town hall meeting and go back home as if that was normal. These are stuff that your ancestors did. So if your kids start finding out about this, which is not too long ago, they had like everything happened 4,000 years ago.
Man,
Ruby.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
not to interrupt you. I've said this to a few people when I was saying this to a previous podcast again, and I throw this around because I'm proud of my age, but I said I'm 48. I was born in 72, and I've said this 101 times. When you start talking about racism, you start talking about Jim Crow laws, and you start talking about voter suppression, you only have to go one generation older than me. You ain't got to go hundreds of years back.
Yeah.
You only have to go one generation above me. You ain't got to go 18, no. You only got to go one step higher than me. And and to add to something you said, sorry, and we'll go back to you, I apologize. COVID brain fog, I will forget something 20 seconds from now, is the other thing that I think is an issue also is we also have a history when it comes to people of color and minority, and so I want to include women of this in history also, is we're real good at talking about headlines. Mm-hmm. We're never good at talking about anything. We're never good at talking about the deeper story. We want to talk about the headline. And we just celebrated the 100th year of the Tulsa massacre. And prior to that, we were just celebrating. Celebrating is the wrong verb. So again, don't forgive me for using that term, but we just celebrated the anniversary of Emmett Till. Mm-hmm. And we talk about these things. And I was having this conversation with my wife. I was talking about my two older, because they're 16 and 14, so they're older to understand these things. I said, but you know what we never talk about is we never talk about what were the people charged that did this.
Yeah.
We just talk about the massacre. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about the travesty? Mm-hmm. How about the woman who years later admitted she lied on Emmett Till?
Yeah.
What were the people that burned the people down in Tulsa? What were they charged? What were the crimes charged against them?
Yeah, they try to paint it out as if they destroyed their own property.
That's what I'm like. We don't. That's the things. So to me, it's like when we talk about history, the problem is we just talk about, boom, this is what happened that day, and then we just and it's like, all right, okay, well, all right, like we talk about. We're coming up. We talk about Juneteenth, and we talk about the Emancipation Proclamation. Like, and that's another one that Juneteenth has come from that. We talk about the Emancipation Proclamation. That's cool that Abraham Lincoln signed a document, but wasn't nobody free after he signed it? did nobody walk off a plantation after that document was signed? But that's a problem. We talk about situations, we never talk about what happened sorry, go ahead. That's just one of those things. And I talk to my kids about that. I'm like, we have to talk about what happened after that, not just here's that day in history, we taught it to you, we can say we taught you something. Cool.
Put some substance to it, it's just bread. You gotta put some substance to it. You gotta get some meat, lettuce, tomato, all that on there. What I was saying was, Ruby Bridges, she's not that old, so some of these people, parents, grandparents, or whatever, the people that was yelling at Ruby Bridges, threatening her when she was trying to go to school in Louisiana, those people are 70, 80 years old now,
Still alive.
Exactly. And so what do you think the type of environment was like for their kids when they was growing up? If you up there threatening a 6-year-old, they wasn't going back saying nice things about Ruby Bridges at home at the dinner table. So you still have this generation of hate that some have broken away from. We did have 20 million white Americans that marched in the BLM movement and with the death of George Floyd and whatnot. But you still have 74 million that didn't see anything wrong and was glad the way the direction this country is moving in. And to our point that we alluded to before, that's a lot of people that you do not know and cannot trust until you see their actions. So at the end of the day, we gonna always have to be on alert or have our head on a swivel wherever we are at in this country. And that's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're trying to get to a point to change that. I was telling my daughter, I said back in 2013, Grant Hill, him and his wife moved. I'm sorry, Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers coached the Orlando Magic. They moved to Orlando into a neighborhood. He's married to a white lady or whatnot. And so they moved into this neighborhood and they did not like Doc Rivers. Guess what they did?
I know.
They burnt this man's house down.
Correct.
Now, we are at a point right now here in 2021 where you go burn somebody's house down now, we're going to have cameras out there. You're not going to get away with that. But back in 2013, I believe it was like, oh, he should have known better to move over there, or that's them, racists being racist, that's why you don't go over there, leave them people alone. We get so tired. No, it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to freely go into this country wherever we want, as long as we're not breaking the rules, just like everyone else. So when it comes to giving these racist people a pass, that's the part right there that irks me that we have to get over. That's the elephant that we got to start addressing, because once and like I said, we had 20 million that helped us with it, but it's going to take so much more, because every white American probably had a parent or a family member or whatnot who's said some inappropriate things at a barbecue or a cookout about Black people, and you don't want to cause a scene at your family barbecue or family vacation to tell Barry he shouldn't be talking like that. That takes a lot of energy, going to ruin the mood. We get it. But just say we have our friends coming over there to visit, or have our kids over there and Barry is over there. So now we got a whole nother different dynamic. You can be a good, nice person, but you still have Barry over here who doesn't feel the same way about Black people in this country. So once we get to the point to, like I said, getting to the point to where we can get everyone on board, that's willing, because it's going to take some energy. It's going to take some effort. It's going to be tiresome, but America has to be 100% honest with itself, starting at the top. Then us as normal everyday citizens, once we start putting in policy, procedures, regulations, guidelines, or whatnot, it's going to have to be some real deal consequences for people that's being racist and hateful in this country.
Yes.
It's like with cops, if you make cops start carrying their own insurance, I guarantee you they're going to stop shooting people as quickly. If you're going to have to start carrying your own insurance and not hiding behind the shield, I guarantee you it's not going to be the end of the world if Robert got away and you set up a perimeter and you later on catch him 2 hours later, versus killing Robert because he tried to take our run or whatever the case may be. So like I said, once we get to that point, that's the point that we have to get to. At the end of the day, whoever controls the pen controls the narrative. Once we start getting some, like I said, what we used to call it, put that paperwork in their life growing up. Once you start putting that paperwork in people's life, then they start acting right. But we have to start putting paperwork, policy, procedures in people's lives to let them know that this is not okay, period.
I mean, obviously I 100% agree with you. And I think the other problem is that right now, and I think, let me preface this, it's definitely better than it has ever been, at least in my lifetime. The problem is it is too comfortable to be hateful. And I think the difference is, though, and this is where a lot of people have invented the term cancel culture, is that, to me, I think when I hear someone say cancel culture, it's that they're suddenly realizing you can't just sit there and be hateful. And now your hatefulness is being challenged. You can't just sit there and say, these two people of the same sex don't belong together because it's not right.
Yeah.
This person of color and this non-person of color don't belong together. This Black person doesn't deserve the same rights as I do. Well, now you say that, and the people around you are calling you out on your stupidity, and you're not comfortable in saying that. And now people are going, well, what are you attacking me for? No, people are just not putting up with you saying that anymore. And so now people go, well, well, what do you mean I can't say it on Facebook anymore? It's my rights are being trampled upon. No. Your rights are not being trampled upon. You are still allowed to say whatever you want to, but now you need to actually own up to what you're saying. You can't just sit there and spew stupid stuff. And so I like seeing people getting called out, but I do think that the pushback of that, I actually think we haven't seen that yet, and I don't know how frightening that is. And I think that is something that, that what is that stupid social media platform that was created by conservatives because of the P
parlay or something like
that. Is that yeah? So that was like everyone's like, oh, go there, you can say blah blah blah, and I'm like, and I think that was step one. I think that was something that was like, oh, you can go on there and say these things. And I'm not gonna lie, I would, if I knew how to create if I know how to create a social media where people can really get on there and really just be like open-minded and loving, I would do it.
So thank you for joining me for part 1 of my interview with Dre. So next week I will have part 2 of 3. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Do better, be better. One love. I'm out.